Behind me here is the very first example of the latest Sunseeker. This is the Sunseeker Manhattan 56 and it has just been launched at the Düsseldorf boat show. Now, it's not an entirely new boat. It is based on the Manhattan 55, which is one of the most popular Sunseekers they've ever built. They absolutely sell like hotcakes. And this is the latest updated version to make it even more functional and even prettier. Now, the main hull itself is exactly the same. In fact, most of the mouldings are, but there are some tweaks to, for example, the windows in the hull, the windows on the superstructure, the hard top. But this is where the most interesting new change is. This is the new sunbed moulding, effectively. And you can see that they have cantilevered it out this way to create a much more versatile aft end. It's the same hydraulic platform here, plenty of space for a tender, but you can see moulded into that straight away, there is a lovely little aft bench. It's not a huge size, but a nice little spot just to, whether it's, I don't know, grab your towel, have a stare out the back, look at the world, put your mask on, flippers, whatever it may be. But we've also got some additional storage under here. I can just pop that open. You can see really handy locker for blinds, fenders, water toys, whatever you want to do. We've also got some very clever features here. These were here anyway, to be honest, but just to show you all the different things, we've got a built-in shower under here. Really nice to have a proper standing shower rather than hosing yourself down with a handheld one. And over on this side, we have access to the crew cabin. Again, this has been improved considerably. It has been hinged at the top rather than the bottom, which makes it much easier to access. Previously, you were trying to sort of wedge yourself in down there. We'll have a very quick look down there. There's not an awful lot to see, but you can see we have got a decent bed, we've got a washer dryer, and we've got an ensuite. But the real win is not these storage facilities, it's what this bench up here does. And it has got several different positions, so I will show you all of those independently. So this is the standard position where you've got a seat facing out. You can see the way it's kicked out over the top of that moulding there. Gives you a nice aft-facing seat, but that still leaves plenty of space to sit around the cockpit dinette. You'll also notice that we've got an optional aft-facing seat here. You can either have a bar here or an aft-facing seat. This is position 2, where the backrest has been slid halfway across, and that just gives you a bit more space, so there's enough room for kids, for example, to sit and sunbathe here, but you still have seats either side of this table. And this is the final position, where you can see the backrest has been slid all the way over, and that's what creates enough room for a full aft-facing sunbed. So really clever, very adaptable new aft moulding. There's even a sort of fourth position, which is effectively to leave the infill cushion in on top of the table, and that's what creates space to have a forward-facing bench and an aft-facing bench. The table itself is on a high-low strut, so you see you literally just press this little button here and it goes up and down, so you can adjust it for whether you're eating or whether, of course, it's supporting the sunbed. So that is the clever new aft moulding, and then when you come up into the cockpit, we've got, I think I mentioned this bench already, but if you don't want the aft-facing bench, the alternative is to have bar stools. And that's a very nice touch because this bar section here does fold over, and then you've got a really cool bar area. So you can take your pick whether you want to sit forward-facing into the bar or go for the aft-facing bench. Pros and cons of both different designs. Now, one of the things that they always did really well was this window. You see a lot of boat companies have a flip-up window. This is that much cooler. It's an electric one, and look how quick that is, and appreciate how silent it is. It's super slick, super quick, super quiet. Love that. One of the reasons this boat was so popular. Now let's just have a very quick look at the decks before we go, because there's a few changes here. Another really core spot of the Manhattan 56 is this forward foredeck lounge. So you've got a table, you can sit round it, you can use it for drinks, and you've got 2 sunbeds either side. But also note just how big those windows are in that foredeck area that lets light down into the cabin below. Now we have a new Flybridge hardtop. We'll take a closer look at that, but just a prettier, neater moulding than previously. So nice wide stairs up to the Flybridge. Good handhold on this side. And they have made the most of all the space they've got up here. One thing I really like about this is the way you've got the sunbeds in front of the helm station. I'm sorry, there's a little bit of flickering going on, but hopefully you can put up with that. But it means you've got a very sociable array. You can have people sunbathing up here. They can be sitting in this area here. This is just a sort of companion seating. There is a separate dinette behind it. Two proper sort of bucket style helm seats. And a nice clear dash. A lot of the time you find that the dashboard on the helm seats on the Flybridge are a slightly sort of afterthought, but this is a full comprehensive layout. We've got the twin Simrad screens, all the same throttles, same multifunction wheel, and really comfortable seats that will bolster if you want them. Now here is that new hardtop, gloss black, big sunroof in the middle of it. You can see that is a fabric sunroof, but does create a lovely big opening. Now this is of course an optional extra. In fact, there are 3 different options. You can have it completely open with a sort of bimini style manual canopy. You can upgrade that to a hydraulic bimini or the hardtop. And to be honest, I think this hardtop is going to be extremely popular because you pretty much have the best of both worlds. You have extra shelter, but you've also got a big sunroof overhead there, and you've got an electric extending awning over the aft end. So that will go all the way out, right out to the back of the boat. Good size wet bar over on this side. If we pop that up. Got a grill, sink, fridge and ice maker. And then a very, very good size dinette at the stern here. Now, again, they've upgraded some of the stainless steel work around here. Just simple things like this grab rail here. It's a sort of oval section, thicker, chunkier, feels more robust, looks better. Same with the railing around the back of the seat there. There you go, you can see the section of that. Nice, chunky. Makes you feel a bit safer, a bit more secure, but also looks really stylish. But look at the size of that table. Really chunky teak, again, really thick wedge of wood. 2 extending wings to make it bigger, plenty of space to sit all around it, both ends, and of course you can have a couple of director's chairs here. Let's have a look at the interior then. This hasn't changed much in terms of layout, but has changed quite a lot in terms of fit and finish. Now, really good aft galley area, on the port side, all the good kit. 4-ring Miele induction hob, microwave oven, Miele dishwasher, 1.5 sink, I won't lift that up, and lots of nice touches. You can see all the cutlery has got individual little retainers for it, much the same with all the glasses. I won't show you them all, but just give you an idea. Very beautifully done, all lights up, each has its own little place. The other thing it's particularly good at is the amount of refrigeration on board. So we've got 4 separate, really big fridge freezer drawers. That's just one of them, but you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and a wine fridge over on this side. So I know it seems excessive for a boat this size, but trust me, particularly when you're out somewhere hot in the Mediterranean, you cannot have too much chiller space. And that's a real winner for this boat, having 4 of those fridges or freezers. A little bit more storage. Now, the other thing I've noticed is some of the stainless steel work has been upgraded. So look, really nice square section or rectangular section rather than round. It just feels and looks that much classier. Same deal with some of the fabrics. You'll notice that there are actually 2 different fabrics going on here. This one is slightly sort of reflective and silvery and sort of striated. This one is more textured, little sort of nubbly, woolly bits to it, but just adds to that sort of feeling of, I don't know, just slightly more exotic fits and finishes. big expanding table. I won't open that up here, but you can see that all folds out, so that can be a dining area or in lounge mode as it is here. Really big high-low TV on this side. What I really wanted to show you is just how big these windows are, because once you've got that down, you get a much better impression. Sure, we're inside, but you can imagine when you're out in a beautiful bay, you've got these really big windows on both sides. Helm station, that hasn't changed a great deal other than the colours, but yet another fabric here. This we've got grey leather, we've got a nice bolstered seat, electric window next to the helm, very clean, modern looking dashboard, couple of Simrad screens in there, multifunction wheel. Look at those nice big start stops, makes you feel pretty important when you press one of those, and bow and stern thruster, as well as Lenco trim tabs. Useful extra storage under here, really good size actually. And then down into the accommodation. This hasn't changed a great deal, but then it didn't really need to. We'll start with the owner's cabin. That is of course a full beam amidships, and this has always been one of the key selling points of the Manhattan 55, and it looks even better in the 56. Now you can have this light colour scheme or this dark colour scheme. Obviously that is entirely a customer choice, but love the fact we've got this little breakfast dinette down here. Really big hull windows on both sides. Good to see that there's an opening section there. Yes, you can have all the air conditioning in the world, but sometimes there's nothing nicer than just fresh ventilation from a sea breeze. Lots of exotic finishes down here. We've got wood there. We've got sort of painted GRP there. We've got textured fabric headboard there. Really good headroom in here too. I'll just flick it round briefly so that you can see, but plenty of space. I'm 6 foot. There's a good 6 inches to a foot above me. Masses of storage along the port side. I won't open all those. You can see how many different lockers there are. More storage under here. Big TV on the bulkhead. Rather like these little shelves here. Just gives you something to display, a little bit of artwork, books, whatever it may be. And ensuite bathroom. Pretty decent walk-in shower there. Separate glass door, so it does stay nice and dry. Loo, all the usual stuff. But note that that is where the door is, so you are of course completely private, and there is a pocket door in that bathroom. It just slides across like so. Then moving forward, let's go and see the next best one, the VIP up in the bow. Now this always had a big beam and it carries it a long way forward, so you can see there is really impressive width even in this bow area. That bed is completely rectangular, there's no tapering at all at either end, so proper king size bed in this forward VIP. Decent hull windows either side, storage all the way around at eye level. And of course, it has its own ensuite, although you'll notice that this is a Jack and Jill version, so let me just close that door. But it has ensuite access to the second bathroom. Not quite such a big shower, but still pretty decent. Fresh air, natural light. Lots of mirrors bouncing that light around. And then the third cabin, and again, not a bunk cabin, proper twins, really good headroom. They're not the widest of beds, if I'm honest, they're probably sort of 2.5 to 3 feet, but really good headroom, really good natural light. Rather like these two sort of, it's like two halves of a diamond almost, but adds a little bit of visual interest as well as letting in plenty of light and fresh air. Smaller TV on the bulkhead here. Not quite so much storage, but not bad. And that is the second access to that ensuite VIP head. So obviously you can use it as a day heads, or the guests here can use it. Access to the engine room is through the cockpit floor. There we go. Now we have twin MAN 800s. They were Volvos, but they've now switched to MAN. They are straight shaft drives. They're 800 horsepower each. There you can see the shaft running down there. Now it carries 2,200 litres of fuel, and that should give you a range of around about 200 to 230 miles, depending how quickly you're going. It's category B design, obviously planing. There is the generator. Here are the big exhausts. Good bit of extra storage for bits and pieces, but nice, clean, accessible engine room. There you go then. That is the new Manhattan 56. Now, prices for this start at 1.595 million ex taxes. As you've probably seen, it's not wildly different to what came before it, but then, you know what, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But what they have done is made it that much more modern, more interesting, and more versatile, particularly with that clever new aft moulding. So do let me know what you make of it in the comments, and as always, thank you very much for watching.